Oh my goodness. We are back for another amazing writing tip video. Okay, we're not doing a beta read today. No. What we are doing is continuing and creating the antithesis of the video we just did not even like 3 minutes ago. Okay, harmonic writing. Okay, this is the exact opposite. We're gonna go into dissonant writing. Okay. So a lot of times, especially if you've gotten beta reads from me before in the past, written or just these free ones I love to do, you'll know, okay, or you'll figure it out by now that I love comparing writing to music as well as cooking. Very interesting. Anyways, yeah, but before we get into that, let's get some plugs out of the way. Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead, like, subscribe, bada bing, bada boom, hey. And of course, we got some books here. Amazing, cool. Yamikage, my first book, wonderful. Go ahead, pick that up on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and all the other stores that you'll find books. And Bright Dreadful Sun, my third book. Oh my goodness, so wonderful. And then, of course, Not Every Star in the Night. Ladies and gentlemen, oh my goodness, beautiful pieces of literature that you should definitely pick up. Pick up and read. Drop them reviews. Go ahead, do what you gotta do. But anyways, yep. So, a bit about myself, Mike Romasanta, 5-star beta reader, ghostwriter, editor. Wow, oh my goodness. And, yeah, ghostwriter, editor, and of course, published author. The published 4 books, one traditional, the other not. It's self-independent, but we're not here to talk about my books. We're here to talk about your books. Okay. So I am flooded with orders. Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm getting orders dropped on my brain. But anyways, so the point is, I've been getting a lot of manuscripts, and when you're a beta reader, you're trying to lift the author up. You're getting that balance between compliments and constructive criticism. But sometimes you just get buried in nonsense, and you just really got to let it out. So I'm trying to let it out here for you guys, so you can understand what I'm going through. Is critiquing this dissonant writing. Okay. A lot of times I get great writing, amazing writing, huge. But also at the same time, I get a lot of writing that's a little really confusing. So, yeah, definitely want to talk about that. So when you're writing music, okay, you are mostly constructing harmony, beautiful sounds. You got your own genres of music too, similar to writing. Okay, very good. Same with the same style of playing, same notes, same key signatures, all these things. But that's not exactly what I'm talking about here. That's called theme, central theme. When you're writing dissonantly, in a dissonant manner, it's like slamming freaking the keyboard against my face. It's like literally, and I'm reading it, and I hear it. It's like just like slamming a piano, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going on? So I love when writing flows. It should flow like a beautiful sonata, like really just kind of, it should be music to the ears, really just kind of, but instead, and there's like, let's say metal music. I love metal music. There's nothing wrong with metal music, but you hear a lot of like angry, dissonant notes. Is that what I'm talking about? No, that's deliberate. So they're doing that on purpose. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, they're trying to write a pop song, and then all of a sudden, like, just a slew of minor chords come at you, and you're like, what the? And it's like, this is completely out of key. I just did this in the last video. I'll say it again right now, right here. That sometimes, like the best songs are the most simple. Don't go out there and try to reinvent the wheel, because a lot of times when, I'm not going to discourage you, actually. I don't want to discourage you from being innovative, but what I'm trying to do is trying to portray that these fundamentals are often in place for a reason. So once they're getting askew and thrown all over the place and like hit like a pie against the wall, it can get really unpleasant to read. And now, see, music is about entertainment as well. So is writing. We're trying to entertain the reader or inform them. So when things aren't entertaining or informative, it's like just a one note. You know what I mean? So with that being said, if you don't want one note writing, you got to have these concepts play off each other. Like setting should be playing off for the characters. Setting them characters in the dialogue should be moving the plot forward. Everything should be contributing. But sometimes you got like a lot of things that are just really just making things just absurd. Sometimes unnecessary chit chat is that dissonant writing that I'm talking about. It's that dissonant feedback in my ear. When you're playing guitar, I don't know if y'all play guitar, but you plug in the guitar, it makes a lot of noise at first, and if you don't hold it right, it could just start and driving you crazy. You know what I mean? So that's exactly what I'm talking about here, is that random dialogue that makes no sense. It's chit chat, it's fluff. It doesn't need to be there. It's feedback. You know what I mean? So your dialogue should be adding purpose to the novel. Okay, adding purpose, not necessarily just feedback. You want your guitar to rock out, and yeah, sometimes guitar or sometimes writing can sound a little, dissonant, but it's cool. You know what I mean? It's like it's meant to be that way. Like, let's say if you're writing horror, sometimes you could do psychological horror where the the character trails off a little bit and, maybe first person perspective. And it just kind of, that's really cool. But if you're doing odd things that make no sense, especially even for your genre, skewing these fundamentals or just not even having them is just kind of like, what is going on? And a lot of times, I'm going to say this, plot structure can get like that too, where it's just kind of like, this happens a lot for off-the-cuffers as well. I've noticed that this really does happen for a lot of off-the-cuffers, is they get lost in their plot, they get lost in their timelines. If this is sci-fi fantasy, they could get really lost there. And then I'm lost and then this, this is what the background is for, is because I'm lost. I'm lost in a void of nonsense. And, that's how I feel when I'm reading a lot of dissonant writing. Now, of course, every book has its, good points, high points, low points. But at the same time, you don't want slamming. You don't want to get hit with a tuba, which is sometimes how I feel. Sometimes I really try to like hear and taste the music, and I'm going to hear and taste the writing. I'm trying to like get a, it's just like too sour, like or like it's just basically the point is dissonant writing is writing that doesn't contribute. It actually adds dissonance to it. It adds to a bad experience as opposed to what could be a good experience. So double check. One thing is really important too is read your writing unbiasedly. This is what I'm here for. Beta readers, you send them the thing and they'll give you unbiased feedback. Like myself, a good beta reader lifts up the author, so don't worry about that. They should be providing compliments as well as criticism. This is exactly why I did 2 videos. This is dissonant writing, whereas the other one's harmonic writing. So if you're watching this video, definitely go ahead and watch the harmonic one so you don't feel like I'm screaming at you. But so that's the definition of being a beta reader, is you're really just looking for those literary fundamentals, pointing them out, seeing what the author may not see or what they've looked over. A lot of times, this is something too that I like to kind of compare writing and beta reading to, is when you're a musician, especially, they say this in writing so much, don't edit your own work because you're unbiased. That is often true. That is very, very true. They say the same thing in the music world. If you like your own music, don't produce your own music. Send it off to get mastered. Send it off to get mixed and mastered. Because if you start the mixing process yourself, you'll be like, you just basically start adding bias to the thing. And, a lot of people make it work. Like I've seen great self-edited novels. Don't get me wrong. So it can be done. I've seen great novels that never went through beta readers, and they're just great. But at the same time, there's novels that should be sent through these things. So, let's say you're a great singer. You could be a great writer, but if your editing is all over the place, then it's not going to make sense. Your presentation is a huge thing that can contribute to dissonance. Oh, my goodness. Maybe let's say you just get a bunch of sheet music, right? You're just like, oh my goodness, it's so wonderful. But then you get like all this like random notes that don't need to be there. It's like, I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to scratch these off because there's so many like, what can be like a nice C major, like la, can be like, okay, you get C in there and then you got like A sharp and then you got like F sharp. And then what are you doing? You know what I mean? It's like, and that's not even a real, what is that? That's like an augmented major C major ninth with an additional 12th. What is that? Like, don't reinvent the wheel most times. Often not. If you're stuck in a position that you're thinking, is this going to be too confusing? Go back to basics. Really absorb the basics. I tell people to do this all the time, especially when I'm beta reading. Practice your fundamentals with flash fictions or short stories. Go ahead. So let's say you're deficient on your dialogue. Maybe your dialogue is not contributing purpose. Maybe and then the beta reader sends you and you're like, oh dude, this is usually what happens. They're like, I didn't know that. They're like, oh my goodness. Like I completely overlooked that. So what I recommend people doing is, like, let's say the dialogue is askew. I say, go ahead, practice some short stories. You don't have to publish them. You don't even have to set a word count. Just go ahead and have a focus on dialogue. Have a focus on having that dialogue contribute. Plot moving, setting, character development. They should be elevating, creating harmony instead of dissonance, where like the plot could be just going nowhere. Like, it's like, what's going on? So plot structure charts, they're very straightforward. They're very interesting. Know the basic one. Know the hero's journey. That could definitely help when you know your proper elements. The rising action, the climax, inciting incident, falling action. People neglect the falling action all the time, and that's so dissonant. It's like, that's like a song with no bridge. Oh my goodness. That drives me nuts, dude, is when there's no falling action. I'm like, what is gonna happen now? And they a lot of people will try to mask it as, oh, we're gonna make a cliffhanger, but dude, come on, show the events after the climax. So let's say you get a book with like 20 chapters, and then it's just, okay, introduction, no inciting incident. And then just like rising action that really doesn't rise to anything. And then out of nowhere, there's this like climactic moment, and it has no impact because, we didn't get that climactic rise. We didn't get the tension built in the rising action. We didn't even get good character development. It's like just random, like it feels like a riff. Like but not like a good riff, like just like a bunch of feedback. Oh my goodness. So check your writing for feedback. This happens to musicians all the time. They can get really over ambitious, and then they wonder, why did the 2-chord guy win? You know what I mean? Like they wondered why Mr. 4 chords is getting he's getting out there, and then Mr. 55 chords is like, what? Like, what? I clearly have more stuff than that guy. No. Don't reinvent the wheel sometimes. Okay, there's a difference between deviating with purpose and elevating with purpose and really trying to be unique and novel. That's fine, but do it with purpose. Make sure your fundamentals, make sure you know your fundamentals, Great book is The Red Book by Carl Jung. It's completely dissonant. It's a book of pure dissonance. Like it's ridiculous. It's like every note, every page is just complete nonsense to an extent. But then you have somebody with credibility like Carl Jung that knows how to actually write well. Then what you have is a masterpiece. You have a masterpiece of dissonance. If you listen, it's Halloween music is full of dissonance sometimes. It's just noise sometimes. If that's what you're going for, make sure it stays in theme too, because like, what is that? You know what I mean? So dissonant writing, you got to double check your elements. Get your plot structure in there. Make sure your plot structure is working, and make sure it's like contributing as opposed to taking away. Because once you get know your plot type too. Know your plot type. That's another thing too. Know your genre of music. Like if you're playing jazz, you're not gonna hit 1 double zeros and shred. And well, maybe you will. I don't know. I don't think so. Like, let's say you're playing like pop music, and you're throwing a gong at the wall, and you're jumping up and down on a xylophone, and you're basically just creating massive feedback, and the drummer's doing too many fills, and the guitarist is smashing things. It's like, dude, pick your genre. Like, know your genre and know your plot type. You literally, I think so much dissonant writing stems from a lack of good foundation. That's what I understand. I've come to understand that, a lot of the dissonant writing, I go, hey, maybe go back to your notes page. And what note page? You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, well, what I do is I tell them to make a note page. A lot of off the cuffers, they don't do it, or maybe they don't even do it on the notebook or something. So, maybe if your novel's lacking that strong foundation, go back and reconsider. Maybe listen to the beta and think, wait, maybe this guy's got a point. Most people, if not everybody, I've actually never gotten really horrible feedback on my end. Nothing but good stuff, because I take it seriously, because I care about the reader and I care about the author. I care about both, and especially as being an author too. That's the thing, is you want to lift authors up. That's what good beta readers do, is they lift them up. So when I'm saying your writing sounds dissonant, when your writing is a little dissonant, it's not that I'm saying you're a bad writer. I'm saying, check these criteria, literary elements, and make sure, this happens in music all the time. Like if you're in the recording studio, it could take 9 takes just for like a very simple thing. It's just something, sometimes you blunder. Same with chess. I also like to compare everything to chess, and just my whole life. Chess, you blunder all the time. Even it happens to the greatest. You could be the best author in the world, but you could still have dissonant writing by accident. So a lot of times it is by accident. Nobody goes to sit down to a novel and say, I'm going to write this crazy freaking novel, and it's not going to make any sense at all. And then I'm going to send it to Mike, and he's going to get fucking pissed off and make a video. No, nobody does that. I mean, I've seen way out there manuscripts. I've received so many this year, and I've seen really far out there stuff. But it's beautiful because they know the genre. They're adding dissonance with purpose. Maybe they're deviating with purpose. But it's just like, I don't know. Sometimes in music you see a key change, and when you're doing a key change in music, there's always going to be dissonance right at that transition. It's almost always going to be dissonant, unless they do it. It's going to be that flip of okay, now we're going to E flat. So we got to double check that it is transitioning well, Anyways, yeah, so watch your writing for dissonant concepts. Just you could be able to tell, or at least, have a good beta reader that can help you out, or anything. Read your writing unbiasedly, just kind of not throw it away. Just set it aside for a while, and then just maybe just kind of like, I'm going to read something else and maybe read a bunch of other books, readers or leaders. So maybe do some of that. And then come back to your writing and be like, okay, whoa, maybe that's not making sense. If you're not going to hire a beta reader, I've noticed that it's better to hire professional beta readers. I'm not just saying that because I am one, because they will critique your work without bias, and they have tendency to know these fundamentals like the back of their hand. Whereas, pals and friends will be like, well, it's pretty good. I like it. It's pretty good. And you're like, what about it? And they're like, I don't know. That's the good one. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's like showing your friend the song. You're like, dude, this song sounds awesome. Look, I just made it. And then you're like, okay, so how did that work? I don't know. It was pretty good. And then, bruh, come on. I don't know about that one. Anyways, yeah, so enough rambling here. I don't plan these videos out ahead of time, but yeah, dissonant writing. Make sure your writing has the proper elements. Make sure your writing is harmonious, not dissonant. And if you're gonna go ahead and say I like being dissonant, that's fine. But there's a difference between deviating with purpose, because sometimes you'll say, oh, I like dissonance. Yeah, a lot of genres do like dissonance, but that's the genre. That's the point of it. They know how to do it the right way. They know how to be harmonious with their dissonance, if that makes sense. They'll be like, okay, I'm going to make a song that's going to be dissonant, but I'm going to know how to make the dissonant song. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like writing that's trying to be, one thing, and then it has all this like in the background. If you want to write a story that's all, then the dissonance would be harmonious moments, which can be utilized for contrast. So that's what I'm talking about, deviating with purpose. So make sure you guys are doing that. Anyways, like, subscribe, do your best to get those 1,000 words in today, and have a great time. Keep on writing. Woohoo!